Hey everybody, this is Jace Allen from Rum Runner Guitars down here in the Guitar Dungeon. This one's going to be a quickie. This is a Porta Studio 488 from Tascam, and when I got it, it's in pretty good shape. Rewind forward worked, play and record did not. That's usually a telltale sign that you've got a bad belt, and so I ordered myself a new belt from eBay. I will share the link in the description. So let's take this sucker apart and change the belt. I've got my tray here to keep my screws in. Always want to keep track of your screws so you don't lose them. There's 3 screws here in the front. These are short screws. That one's not going to come out. Once in a while you'll get a stripped screw. So, and there's some on the side too. Down this side, there's one here and one towards the back. That comes out, and then we'll go across the opposite side. There. And one in the middle here. This is going to be a long screw. There, see, long. And then there's another one down in this hole. It always helps to have a screwdriver that has a magnetic end on it, so you can pull those screws right out. And then we'll go to the back here, and there's well, you can't see that one, can you? There's one here and one here, and I think these are long as well. Yes, those are long as well. And the ones all the way around the outside are the same size, so you don't have to deal with different sizes on the outside. So, okay, so we flip it over, and there will be 2 screws inside. They're chrome or nickel or whatever they are. They're not, the ones that we just pulled out are black, and those are smaller Phillips heads too, so you're gonna have to get a smaller screwdriver. And then the next one. Okay. Okay, so now this should lift off. And it does. Quite a bit of room. This at the top will just lift right off. Actually, you're going to want to turn it around. That way you can get to the cassette mechanism, and then this will lift right up. And you've got some wires here that connect to these here, so you can pull that one off, and this one comes up on the side. If you can see that. See right there, that one's goes up on the sides. You pull them out, and then you can lift this top right up. Pull that one out too. So I guess you can pull these out too, these 2. There you go. Now it swings away. So you've got these. Here we go, let me back up again. Sorry for the jittery. So these 2 here, I pulled off of those down there. So that way the whole lid will tilt back for you. Okay, so here's our deck cassette part. I'm going to move us over again so we can really get a good clear view of this. Okay, so this mechanism we want to take this whole thing out. And let's zoom in a little bit. Okay, so as you can see, there's a screw here. This is that cassette mechanism. I can pull back so you can see in context where it's at. So that's the cassette, you know, that's where your cassette tapes go. And then there's two screws here on this side. So we're going to want to pull those out. So I'll take these screws out. And these are a black, sort of a flat-headed screw with a little thing on the bottom there, if you can see that. That's helps it center the there's fairly big holes down there, and it helps center the piece. And this is a screw. And this one here. And then you'll need your small screwdriver again. This here, there's a ground wire that attaches to this cassette chassis with a little brass machine screw, and you want to pull that out. Okay, so this lifts right out. And then what I do, I'll take a washcloth basically and set it down. You can, you know, there's like some wires here, connectors. You can undo those and take the whole thing off. Actually, let's do that. We'll do that. And they're pretty self-explanatory where they go, so when you remove them, you'll be able to find where they go. Okay, so now you've got this thing loose, so you can work with it better. I'll put this washcloth down so it protects everything. You got a place to set it. So now, what you're doing is you're going to this is the drive motor for play, and inside there is a little, like a pulley wheel, and you can see maybe on this one that it's really black from the rubber from the old belt. The old belt had completely disintegrated, and they turn rubbery and like gooey, almost like melt. So then down here is the flywheel that belt attaches to. So we want to get down to that belt, that flywheel. So we'll take this screw here off. I believe that's the way. And then there are two screws here and here. And you only want to take those off because, as you can see, there's a hole in this metal. So if you take that screw off, it'll just release this metal and not this piece. You want that piece to stay, and that's what those screws are holding on. So you want to take these ones that are kind of in the recessed hole. And this one too. My wife's doing laundry, that's why you got the noise of the washer filling up in the background. That's okay though. I hope you can hear me, all right? Okay, so then those are off, and that should release this whole mechanism. See, this whole thing lifts right off. And there's your flywheel, and then there's your motor, motor with the pulley belt. And let's see if I can get that off of here. Yep. So I took that right off, and I'm going to clean that first because it's got all that gunk in there from the old belt. The old belt had completely disintegrated. So we're going to clean that off. Just use a little alcohol. Don't get too crazy. Don't use acetone. You'll melt the, this is a plastic pulley. You'll melt it. So a little bit of alcohol. Alright, so that's about as clean as I'm going to get that. I'd say that's pretty good. So push that back down onto the motor spindle. And then take your belt. Nice new belt. We're going to wrap it over this wheel. And then you gotta flip this around. It's kind of tricky. Flip this around and wrap it around your flywheel. Oops. Okay, maybe it's easier to wrap it around the flywheel first and then put it around that. There we go. Okay. And make sure you don't catch that post. You don't want to wrap the belt around that post. You want to wrap it just around the flywheel and just around the pulley wheel. And you want to set this back in place. And put your screws back in. Smaller of the three goes into that spot. And the other two go in here. Okay. Okay, so now we'll take a look, and you want to make sure that belt is down really towards the bottom of the flywheel. There we go. Okay, see how even it is now? And it should stay there without any issues. Okay, there you go. You just replaced your belt. Now put everything back together the way you took it apart. So we'll flip this back over, attach our connectors that we took out. And where are those other ones at? That's good. Oh, there's one more. There it is. I know there's one more. Make sure I got them all. There's a black one too. Where did that go? Is it hiding on me? Yep, it is right there. Those are all down good, and then set this back where it was. Make sure your wires aren't catching on anything or impeding anything. That sits right back down there. Come back around here so you can see again. And we'll put the screws. Remember those sort of goofy looking flat screws. And even though there are 6 holes, you only put screws in 3 of them. On this side, you do the middle hole. If I can get it to stay on my screwdriver. There we go. Then the other 2. And the other 2 go on the outside 2 holes. Not sure why it's that way, why they don't fill them up with 6 screws, but they don't. And this one. Okay, and then we pull our ground wire back up with the little metal loop on it, little metal eyelet, and that goes brass machine screw. Goes right back into that hole. There you go. Okay, and then we just need to put all our connectors back and lower this lid. So hold on to it, lower it down to where these 2 will go. These 2 here will go right there. One's long, one's short. Pretty easy to tell which goes where. And then these 2, one goes up here. I'm only going one way, so. And the next one, excuse my head. Let me back up a little bit with the camera. Next one goes out on this outside edge. There. You can lower the lid down and then start putting your screws back in it. I like to do the middle one, long ones first, so it holds it all together. Outside ones. That one's straight. It's obviously not holding anything because we were able to take the lid off. That one doesn't like it. This outside edge. Basically putting things back together and then finding the screw stuff. It's like, oh man, I have to take the whole thing apart. Again, with one screws 2 holes. Then, last but not least, all right, and since we got this thing open, we'll clean the heads. So we got 91% isopropyl alcohol, higher the better. Don't use the 76% or whatever it is. Squeeze a little bit of the excess off. I use these foam swabs. They work a little better than the cotton Q-tips because these don't leave cotton residue behind. And then we'll just clean over these record and play heads. And they're not really dirty, so. See, not too bad. All right. All right, let's plug it in. Test tape. Power on. Power switches in the back. And it's lighting up. You can hear the gentle hum of the motor, and if you open this up, you can see this little wheel spinning. Let me see if I can show you here. This wheel right here is spinning. That's what the flywheel is for. That motor turns the flywheel, and it turns this thing. And when you press play, which I can't do because there's no tape in it, it presses that rubber tire up against there, and it feeds the tape through. So let's stick our tape in there and see if we've got play, which I can't see. There we go. Okay. Hey, woo-hoo. Cool. Okay, I just like to verify that everything's working, so we're in a 1/4 inch input here. Everything's turned on. Record enable. And it's rewound already. Actually, we'll play a little bit, get the leader out of the way. And reset the counter. That way we can do return to 0. And over here we'll do, I think group 1. Oh yeah, group 1. I just blew my eardrums out. There we go. So you got, so we'll hit play and record. Okay. Then we return to 0. And we'll hit play and see what we get. Yep, perfect. Sounds great. Cool, there you go. Belt replacement on the Tascam 488 Porta Studio. And we'll see you next time.